Recorded.
What's up, the Hellion here from the Hellion Rocks. I got Zero G on the line from Death Alley Motor Cult. What's up, brother?
Whoa, not much, man. Just sitting on the couch, relaxing, talking to my man James from the Hellion Radio, man. Had a great time in Santa Ana when we hooked up, and now we're going to have some more fun right now.
Absolutely. You know, when we met, it was like I knew you my whole life. We had the same shit in common, same bands we knew about. You know, we were sitting there rapping. There was like no uncomfortable silence whatsoever. You know, to me, that's a cool thing.
Oh, no doubt, bro. It was kind of cool because, you know, not a lot of people know about some of the bands that we were talking about, a lot of the old punk bands that I was involved with playing gigs and stuff like that. And when I threw them out there, you were just like right on board. And I was like, oh, that's cool. That's cool. Right on. You know, and that's few and far between. Not saying that the heavy metal heads aren't fully in tune with music and stuff, but, you know, a lot of people looked down on punk and thought it was just like really too fast and kind of crazy and whatnot, you know?
Well, you know what? I've always thought that there was like a razor's edge between punk and metal. You know, you could fall on either side real quick. You know, the punk scene and the metal scene. You know, if you remember like early Iron Maiden, the original singer Paul Di'Anno, he was a punk singer. You know, and then
right.
Iron Maiden, you know, that fast and furious thrash. It's not far from punk rock, and some of those punk rock bands are you know, iconic, and they remain iconic. And if you listen and talk to a lot of metal fans, you know, they know it.
Yes, definitely. And, you know, when I was in that scene in the 80s, you know, I was way into Ozzy and, you know, Black Sabbath and Maiden and all that stuff. But, you know, still I got turned on to punk by a friend of mine who's just passed away last year and skateboarding in a pool, and he puts his boombox up and presses play, and I hear this, you know, marching sound, and it was the Sex Pistols, and I was like, whoa, that's really cool. It kind of instantly captured my brain because I was starting to dabble with guitar. My dad had bought me a Flying V and was really starting to play a little bit of music, and then got into the punk and was introduced through that friend I was saying, and being in that scene, a lot of the people that I met were into, you know, heavy, you know, Black Sabbath and, you know, heavy metal music that was kind of not really considered super heavy metal yet. It was just, you know, hard rock, you know. But, you know, it was funny. There was a crossover, and then later, you know, of course, we both know that punk crossed into metal and metal crossed into punk with DRI and Corrosion and Conformity and a lot of bands like that. You know, they kind of started a whole new trend, and then along comes stuff like Slayer, which, you know, are they punk or are they metal? They're both, you know.
Right, that's a true statement, man. And not a lot of people make that connection, so we need to tell people about that, you know. That's cool as shit.
Oh, yeah, I mean, dude, go to a Slayer concert. The only thing about a Slayer concert, I was scared in the pits at a Slayer concert, whereas punk concerts, it's a little more help you up from the ground. Slayer concerts, it's all about melee and seeing how many people you could take out.
Yeah, I was at a show. I think it was an Ozfest one year in Lamb of God. It was on second stage, and we were there. We're down right in the center, and they called for the Wall of Death.
Oh no!
And I don't know if you've ever been in the middle of a Wall of Death, and it was like, oh my God, you know, we barely made it out of there. There were folks crawling out of there, bleeding and bloody. But you know what? They were all smiling and happy.
yeah, and that's the crazy thing. You know, you see those dudes, you know, before it kind of got kind of outlawed, you'd always see the guys with the big gauntlets and the nails and all that, and the spikes and the studs, and, you know, just by you saying the word Wall of Death, that made me cringe. I'm like, ooh, that doesn't sound good. It sounds painful, man. And, you know, back then, of course, you would come out of there smiling, but nowadays, you know, it's a little more, as we've gotten a little bit older, it's like, I'll let the youngsters battle that and handle that, and, you know, and also too, times have changed. You know, people, I don't want to say don't care about each other, but they don't look out for each other as much as they used to back in the days. I mean, still people will pick people up in the scene, but you have a lot more of these meatballs out there who are they're standing around the edge and they're waiting their turn to get in there and just knock the shit out of somebody. Whereas before it was, you know, one of my first concerts that I experienced a thrash pit, I went to Devo, okay? And there wasn't even any thrashing going on. It was pogoing and people were bouncing into each other. And I was like, what in the hell is this? It looks fun. And I got out there and I started pogoing around and, you know, bouncing off people and pushing people, and nobody was swinging and nobody was hitting the floor or nothing. And it was quite an experience, you know, and that was some of the first early days of my introduction into that. But, you know.
Yeah, you know, I remember going back to, you know, I've had this conversation several times recently, was going, you know, I don't know if you ever saw that film Rock and Roll Parking Lot, but you would go to, remember that? Check it out. It's a great look back on the scene of, you know, back in the day when you go to shows, you'd hang out in the parking lot prior to, and everybody was chill. Everybody was hanging out. You know, they were token up. If they were drinking, they were drinking. And, you know, there was not really, you know, of course there were always knuckleheads, but it wasn't like predominant. People were chill and buddies, you know, and like you said, you know, you get all crazy down in the pit and they would help you up and clap you on the back. And there was a sense of camaraderie, a sense of unity, you know, even back when like Saxon hit, you know, when Denim and Leather, you know, people were, that was our identifier, you know, whether you were punk or hard rock, you know, there was, you know, you had your denim or your leather vest on, and, you know, you proclaimed your love from the band on the back of that.
Exactly.
You know,
your patches were your own personal story of what you liked, who you were about, and what you believed in.
Exactly. You know, and you got no grief because, you know, it wasn't like you were trying to be a biker or whatnot like you see now.
Right.
You know, it was, you know, guys would cut up a T-shirt and they would cut up, you know, put the logo on, or they could find a patch, or they'd have their grandma or themselves, they'd embroider some stuff on and put buttons, and, you know, it was your identifier that, you know, this is the band I support, these are the bands I listen to, and people were like, right on, that's cool, and I've heard them referenced as battle vests, you know, and they're cool back in that scene, you know.
Isn't it amazing to think of how many of those people, those kids, guys, girls, were actually the ones doing the sewing on those vests, and they did a pretty good job. You know, you learn as you go, and I can honestly say that I've done a few myself, you know, and you know, done that thing where you get that old shirt that you've worn, and it's about tattered and beat the hell out of it, but you figure, you know what, I'm going to cut that logo out and I'm going to stick it on the side of my vest or on the back of the vest and support the band even more, you know.
Exactly. That's cool as shit, you know. And I can remember, you know, I've always, you know, I listened to the old punk stuff and I listen to the hard rock stuff, but I always kind of a little more identified with the hard rock heavy metal scene, you know, long hair and all that. But, you know, I can't tell you, you know, how many friends I have that cruise around with a mohawk or, you know, the red leather vest. You know, I remember getting all excited when the Pretenders album came out, you know, that was a kick-ass band, you know, or, you know, like I said, DRI. The MOD, you know, all those bands were kicking ass, and you know,
What was that?
The fine line with, you know, like I keep saying back and forth that, you know, you're almost punk or almost metal, and it was just no matter how you woke up that day.
Right, exactly, and it's funny because a lot of the people that did have the mohawks, you'd see them sporting, you know, and going to Aussie shows or you know, any other Iron Maiden or hard rock shows. The main thing is if they had enough money to get into those shows, because most of the time the punks were, you know, not really working, had, you know, not much income, and all getting together to buy a 12-pack of beer or something rather than to go to a show. But, you know, what comes to mind too is a movie that I saw that was also real moving in my music career and my choice of which way to go musically with style and stuff was The Decline of the Western Civilization.
Both of those.
That movie hit it hard, man. It basically outlined how the struggle was and how the acceptance was and how everybody looked down on it and everything. But, you know, hey, it all worked out because nowadays you can walk around anywhere with a mohawk and nobody's going to get mad. Piercings anywhere on your body and nobody cares. And, you know, it's all accepted like it should have been back then. But, you know, it was just a little too cutting edge and people just were like, what?
Yeah, exactly. Both of those flicks, I don't know if you ever caught the second one, but both of those.
I only saw the first.
And the second one was the metal years, and it told the tale of the bands on the Strip, but it carried it on, did very good. The both sides, it covered it very well. And I think I talked to you. There was another flick I saw recently. It's called The Other F Word. And
yeah, you did mention that. I'm in the midst of searching that one down.
It's cool because it shows the punks that we're talking about now. The other F word being fatherhood and how they're coping with maintaining their identity, but yet still being a dad, trying to be a positive role model. And it's really cool. There's a real poignant point in that movie where Lars Frederiksen from Rancid, got the leopard. He's got his close cropped hair. The leopard died. He's got a pair of pants on. One leg's red, one leg's black. And he's tattooed everywhere. And he's got his adorable little kid with him. They go to this park, and they're playing, and the park clears out. And he goes, "Up, there you go. This is how to clear out a park. Bring a punk." But the dude's there with his kid, and it's a really cool thing that to see how us, me and you, we've grown up. We're parents,
right?
But we still maintain that devil may care rock and roll attitude. I'm not bragging here, but I'm rock 24/7. I haven't changed.
yeah, I sport my big goatee, and I work in an industry where I'm around doctors, dentists, plastic surgeons, hospitals every day, Monday through Friday. And it's funny because, a lot of them, they call me the rocker. Some of them call me James, referring to James Hetfield from Metallica. I have one hospital that I go to. When I walk in, they're like, "Metallica, what are you doing?" I'm like, okay, cool. And I don't mind, but they know what I'm about. And, sure, I'm in work boots and a uniform and stuff, but the goatee, I think, does it. It kind of speaks for itself of that's who I am and what I am, and that's it, 24/7. It's what you're gonna get, and
I'm proud to get it.
Yeah, and it was strange cutting my hair off again. Like I said, I just buzzed all my hair off at the beginning of the year, and the hair was a definite giveaway because I had that big old long braided ponytail off the back, and then the goatee on top of that, and they're like, "Oh man, this guy's trouble." I go into a restaurant, with the wife, and they're all looking over, and you can see them covering their mouth and shit talking,
Yeah.
But hey, it's all good. I don't. It doesn't bother me a lot because to me, I've always had that kind of, I don't know if you want to call it a mystery about myself or whatever, or I've always been kind of a rebellious, on the edge type of person. I don't know if I thrive on that little bit of people talking about me or people looking at me funny, and it doesn't really bother me. It's kind of like exciting.
Yeah, it's funny. I get that too. People look at me, and when I talk to them, and then they find out that I'm intelligent, it freaks them out. But I really don't care. This is who I choose to be. And I'm at a point in my life where I've been that person trying to conform to the norm, and finally I had enough. And this is it. This is who I am, like it or don't. This is me. And that's I kind of got that attitude off of you, and I was like, this is a brother right here. And what? Talking about your hair, I heard a story that's how you got your nickname Zero G.
Oh yeah,
it had something to do with your hair.
Yeah, it was a photo shoot for when we kind of first got together. Okay, and my hair was just starting to grow out because I had it shorter, and we had a photo shoot that was going to be in my garage. This guy was going to bring over the big backdrops and the multiple big light flash pots and we had our smoke machine set up, and the full nines, and everything was due to come together. It was like a Saturday at noon or something, and at that time on the night before, and Falcon showed up at the house at like 11 or something like that, and he knocks on the door, and I was still in bed. I roll over, I look at the clock, I'm like, what the hell, man? I still got like an hour before this photo shoot. Who the hell's bugging me? So I get up out of bed and I go answer the front door, and Falcon's there, and he's like, "Hey, brother," and I'm like, "Oh, hey, come on in. I got to take a shower, and then I'll be ready, and have a seat, whatever, watch a tube." And he goes, "Why are you gonna shower, dude? Your hair looks dope." And I go, "What do you mean?" I got sleep head, and I've got that real thick, coarse hair, that when I sleep on it, it just sticks straight out like it's got massive amounts of product in it. And I go, what do you mean? He goes, oh, dude, he goes, your hair right now, he goes, it looks like you're 0G, man. Your hair defies gravity, bro. It's just like, so he told the guys that, and then the next thing, that was just stuck. You know, it was stuck. So I guess now I don't have the hair, but I still have the attitude.
Yep, and it's perfect. It suits you, you know. And I think that's an awesome thing that you guys have those cool ass nicknames. It kind of, kind of goes back to cool old stuff, you know.
Oh yeah, you know what's crazy is the Falcon has been the Falcon since I want to say high school or even before, because I don't know how he got that nickname, but I remember back in high school and whatnot. I believe it was in high school or right at the end of high school, but he has always been the Falcon, and that's just been him. And you know, Diablo Dave, he's had a couple of them that have stuck with him, you know, but the banker, that just suits him because, you know, you are what you are, and he is a banker.
Yep, that's the cool thing. You know, Death Alley Motor Cult, when I saw you guys play, you know, we had our kick-ass discussions about, you know, punk and all that, and you carry that attitude on stage perfect, you know. I saw, you know, your method of playing, your attitude, your look, you know, I'm going to kick you in the teeth from the stage. Yeah. You know, that was awesome. It fit. You know, everybody had their little niche on stage, and the spectacle of Death Alley Motor Cult was badass.
Well, you know, that's one thing that I've gathered. I've played a lot of shows, you know, and a lot of different small places and some bigger places, and I've always had the one attitude that no matter where I'm at, there's a million people there. And I'm going to kick the shit out of it harder than I did last time. And I'm going to give my all. I'm going to sweat so hard. I'm going to be like doing a full-on dojo workout on stage with my guitar. And, you know, then the style of playing, I've always been that choppy. I like to kind of throw my guitar into my body and use my arm almost kind of like a Joe Strummer style sometimes, where I crank back and forth, or a Pete Townsend type of thing, you know, where I like to really just, when I strike my chords, I like big, powerful, just and I drive, you know, and I try to give a performance that people are going to remember. And obviously it was decent enough for it to hit home because you remembered it, and you know what I'm saying? That's what I try to do every time I play. I try to look at every single person in the crowd at least once. I try to make eye contact with people. I try to act comfortable. Even though I am comfortable, I try to make it come across like you see me and I'm having a blast. You should be up here with me because it's fun. And so I kind of try to relay that out as I'm also having a blast and also having fun and trying to represent the band in the best way that I can. And that's, you know, like part of our, I don't know if you want to say our alter ego or darkness, you know, we all dress in black. And that's something that, you know, if you show up, say we all go into different dressing rooms and we all come out and one of us wears a white shirt, the other three of us are going to jump him and take that white shirt off and put a black shirt on before he hits stage, because that is protocol. Protocol is black shoes, black, you know, that's the way we are. That's rock and roll. You know, it sets the standard.
That's funny you say that. You know, I look in my closet and it's all black, you know. And then going back to that, you know, that stage persona, you know, you guys bring it, you know, it's the show. And, you know, seeing a band like you guys that gets that and carries that on is awesome. You know, I know you've seen it, and I know, you know, I've been around where the band gets up, they roll up, and you know, it's who they are, with dirty jeans and a T-shirt, and they stare at the stage and play their songs, and then they walk off. And you're like, what the hell happened? You know, where is the, you know, you want people out there raising their fist, and, you know, and you want people, you know, up at the stage trying to, you know, you want them to be a part of the show. And that's cool. You know, you guys drew that club in Malone. You drew them in. You know, it was a great crowd. There were a lot of people there that, you know, I listened. You know, I'm a person. I like to walk around and listen to the crowd, what they were saying. And I heard nothing. Well, let's kick ass. Well, these guys were bad. You know, and that kind of feedback, I get it. And that's a cool thing. I see.
Right.
And,
well, you know.
Go ahead, man.
you know what's great too is what you're getting at that point there is when you're up there and you're playing, also by doing what I'm doing, and you know I'm singing the song, even though my part isn't right there. I'm singing along with Dave and playing my guitar, so people are seeing me sing and seeing me being active, and you know you hear some cheering and stuff, but by the end of the night, that cheering is multiplied and intensified because the people are getting into us because I'm helping them get into us. You know what I'm saying? I'm making it easier. Whereas, you know, what you're saying about the bands, they get on stage in their jeans and their T-shirts and kind of stare at the floor and don't really move around a lot. I've seen a lot of really kick-ass bands that if they just had that little bit more, it would be the complete package. And that's what we're trying to do, is just be that complete package where we give you our music, we give you our heart, we give you our soul, and we give our theatrical, and we perform, and we try to just make it to where the next day you're taking a shower and in your head you're hearing American Nightmare, and you're kind of bopping and you're going, man, that guitar player with that Jägermeister guitar, he was crazy, man. I don't know who his name is, but he was psycho, man, you know? And so I try to put that.
Yeah.
You what?
We get it. You guys conveyed that perfectly.
Yes. And so that's where I'm at with that. I mean, and that's what we, you know, like when we practice, like right now we've got our Fresno show coming up, and then we've got a show at the Joint in Los Angeles. And the week before we do the show, we usually go into mode, like we've actually already wrote the set. We write a different set for every show. And, you know, we've got a bunch of songs to pick from, a bunch of oldies, and we've got some new ones we're working on right now. But we'll put that set together, and Dave will start working on it and putting it into like a performance where we're in our band's room in Clovis, California, but he's finishing off the song, "What's up, Malones? How you doing, Santa Ana?" You know, we're already in that moment. We're trying to get it put together to where it's smooth, it flows, the songs flow. You know, it's already pre-prepared, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And the band Kiss used to do that. You know, they would make sure you got the show from, that was their whole point was, you know, and I'm going to say this right now, you know, everybody knows that they weren't the best musicians in the world, and they know it themselves. They even said that. But they wanted to bring the greatest show that they could, you know, and they worked on it, and although their music style was, you know, questionable at times, their show was the most amazing show you could see. So I get what you're doing, man. Right.
Well, that's definitely true because, you know, I can't remember when it was, but I did see Kiss. I want to say it was their first reunion tour of the 3 or 4 that they'd done, but they came to town and Paul Stanley was given a little speech, and basically his words were the same words that you said without "we're not the best musicians in the world." He was basically saying, we're here to give you the best entertainment for your dollar and kick your butt from start to finish. We're not going to half-ass anything from the minute we step on the stage until the minute we're off the stage. We're going to give you all our blood, sweat, and tears until we're done. And that's what you're going to get. And if you go see any other band and they don't give you that, then they're ripping you off.
Yep. And in that statement, when I saw Death on the Motorcoat, it was well worth the money.
Thank you, brother. That's awesome, man. Like I said, I can't wait until our paths cross again. You know, you're good people, and you know, basically your help and the help of everybody else out here, and us trying. You know, we're trying as hard as we can, and we just need that one little sniff that's going to take us up there, so we can start doing some real heavy touring and get a label behind us, and you know, we've got the ability to write that song that's going to hit the airwaves that people are going to dig. There's no doubt about that. It's just getting it to the right person to hear it, you know, because whether it's a soundtrack for a movie, which is something that I think we're really good at, is writing songs for the moment or for the cause or for a reason. You know, like when we were approached by DAMC Fight Gear, the friend of ours out of Sacramento, Pleasanton area, or not Pleasanton, Pleasant, gosh dang it, I always forget the name of that place up there. It's near Cameron Park, off east of Sacramento before Tahoe. He hit us up and he said, "Hey man, I dig your guys' style. You're totally what I dig. The music's great, the lyrics are great, everything's cool. Write me a fight song for my fighters to walk out to." So we wrote him a fight song, and then we got carried away and wrote 3 other ones. So we have a 4-song EP that's going to be coming out pretty soon. But, you know, if we could find somebody, especially like The Walking Dead or some kind of zombie movie or horror movies, dude, we can kick out monster horror sounding stuff nonstop, and we'd be great at it. And that would take us to that next edge where, you know, instead of going and having to kill myself at a 9 to 5, I can get up and play guitar all day.
It's funny you say that because earlier when I was talking to Banker, that same time I brought that up. I said I could see you guys playing on the soundtrack and stuff like that. So that's kind of cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're on the same wavelength, and I can totally see that. You know, I could totally see some of those songs being in one of Mr. Rob Zombie's crazy psycho movies.
Oh, without a doubt, dude. I mean, we've got the one song called Zombie A Go-Go. And it's about a strip club. It's a zombie strip club, basically. You know, she dances all night in the full moonlight at the Zombie Go-Go. You know, and we've got a couple other songs that are, you know, one of them's called The Sex Parade, and one of them's called Robot Bride. It would be a perfect match for any kind of horror type movie stuff. And you know, if that doesn't work and somebody hears this, get a hold of us and we'll write you a custom song. You know, no problem. You know, just help us get it out there to the masses so everybody can enjoy it.
I might just have to talk to you guys about scoring something for the Hellion Rocks.
Oh, dude, we could totally bust you out a theme song for your radio show. Heck yeah, man. And even throw down some bumper music for in between songs and stuff. That is not you know, we've got our own studio out here too, so one of the real good things is, you know, I'm standing in my room looking in my backyard, and I've got a detached 2-car garage with the studio off the backside, and that's where everything went down. I bought this place from my mom 17 years ago, and my mom bought it when I was 11, and I've had a band room out there since I was 15, so you can imagine what kind of music has came out of that place, and we've got our full computer set up out there, and basically it's really nice because we don't have to pack our gear up and go to a studio, and we don't have to pay time in a studio. It's our place. We go at our pace. We do it our way, and we don't have any producers or anybody telling us. We don't have an engineer or a guy saying, well, really, I think you should do it this way or anything. It's all done democracy. The 4 of us either like it or we don't like it, you know, and if we don't like it, it doesn't go. And, you know, there's been some good arguments out there, but, you know, they all come around to the positive side because we all think alike and we all have the same goal. So, like, our last couple of things we've put down musically on CD we've done here, and basically it's nice because instead of, like I said, going to a studio and paying time, we set everything up on the drums and we do the drums first. And whether it takes 2 weeks or 5 days or whatever, we leave everything set up exactly the same. So there's no tearing down and setting back up. So every time we come out, it's exactly the mic positioning of the last session we had. And until it's approved by all of us, and yes, it's golden, then we tear it down. But other than that, it stays up until the next person's turn. And then we'll go to bass, then we go to my guitar, then we go to Dave's guitar, then we do leads, then we start on vocals. And it's just a process of elimination, and it makes it nice. Like I said, there's no rush. It's all ours. Everything comes out the same. You know, you're not going to have one song where the drums are a little louder than the other song because we had to do 5 songs in one studio and 5 songs in another studio, or, you know, we only had a weekend and we couldn't get the whole drums done in one weekend, and then we come back in and the drum positioning on the mic for the kick drum and the snare are a little different so they don't sound the same. Everything's the same. And I think that really helps on our recordings, you know.
Yeah, it makes it all consistent.
Yes.
Cool. Death Valley Motor Cult, you guys got a 4-song EP coming out pretty soon. We're hoping to see you guys hit the road pretty soon. And
well,
I see we're just good things on the road for you guys.
Yeah, man, we're just waiting for the go on it. It's all done, and you know, actually there's 2 of them right now. One of them is being mastered, and the other one is it's done on our side, but we're just waiting for the Band Fight Gear guy to say okay, and then we'll get that one.
Cool.
Hello? Oh, I thought I lost you.
Oh, no, man, I'm just listening.
Well, right on, man. So, are we
We're there?
Okay.
Oh, we're there, man. Like I
okay.
was saying, we're looking forward to great things. I know, got to send a shout out to Eddie's mates.
Oh, yeah, dude, that's right.
For kicking ass and showing what you.
Yeah, you might have to edit out that little bit of dead air there. I was mixed up. I thought I heard you say the Death Valley, and I thought we finished up, and I'm going, dead air. Get home for a little bit.
Raw. It's dirty. It's loud. It's in your face. Not perfect.
For sure, man.
So cool. All right, we've been talking to Zero G from Death Alley Motor Cult. This band will be kicking your ass soon. Pay attention. www.deathalleymotorcult.com. Check them out on Facebook. Check out their YouTube videos. And we'll be talking to you soon.
For sure. Hellion rocks, man, with James every time.
Thanks, brother. We'll see ya.
Okay, dope, man. Thank you, James.